you guys, it's Carly from the Poetry of Nice, and today I am sharing my 7 biggest reseller mistakes that I've made. So these are 7 mistakes to do with being an online reseller and running a small business. If you are new here, I am a reseller on eBay, Poshmark and Etsy, and I sell primarily clothing, some vintage clothing and some hard goods mixed in, and I've been doing that for over 4 years, and this is sort of my income as a work at home, homeschooling mother of 3. This is what I do on the side to bring in income every single month, and then I share it on YouTube to hopefully help some other people out there too. Number 1, not keeping a PayPal float. I learned this one the hard way. So I used to, when I would get I pay myself weekly, I should start with, which basically means I withdraw the money from all of my different accounts on a Sunday evening, and I consider that my paycheck, because every Friday it hits my bank account and we're good to go. And what I was doing is pulling every single penny out of PayPal and leaving nothing there. I didn't think anything of it until I got a return and realized I had no money in my PayPal float to be able to give that return. And actually what happened is my buyer had to wait, they got a bunch of messages saying they have to wait, I don't know how much it was, maybe 7 to 10 days. It was a long time before they could even start to process the payment, and I had a really hard time trying to figure it out to get them their money earlier, and it was such a huge headache. So my number 1 tip is keep a float in PayPal, even if it's just $50 or $100, something to cover any kind of return that may come through that you need to reimburse, just in case you don't get those sales on a Monday morning to re-up your balance, and then you're kind of scrambling around trying to figure out where to send the money from to reimburse your customer. Number 2 is not adding photos of flaws. So a while back I was making sure my descriptions were really good, in all the different places I could put it. I would be I don't know, hole on the left cuff, and then sometimes I would make that bold, like a bold font, or I would do it in capital letters. I was doing everything I could basically to catch the eye of the buyer. However, some people just don't read the listing. It's that simple. No judgment. We all shop in different ways, but some people don't. Some people just don't look that closely. And so I figured out pretty quickly that I needed to put a photograph of the flaws in each and every listing, if it applied. And then I needed to put within my description as well, see last photo. I would put it in a very specific place, my very last photo or my last 2 photos, whatever it was, and I would always say see last photos, so that they would know exactly where to go to see visually what the flaw looked like. Okay, number 3 is not weighing items while listing them. So, rookie mistake. I do have a postal scale now, but for a while there I was estimating my weights, and you can do that on eBay. Sometimes it will give you a wide estimate where it's under 2 pounds. That could be something that you would select for calculated shipping. However, I find that varies so much that I would often be selling an item and it would go off somewhere far from me, maybe California or Washington or something like that, and it would be way more money than what the buyer was actually charged for it. So I went ahead and got myself a postal scale. If you're wondering which one I use, I always have those kind of tools linked down below just to let you know, so you can check it out and check the reviews and see if it's something for you or lead you on to something else you like, whatever. But I like the one that I have, and I have found that it has helped me so much in accuracy in terms of having my buyer pay shipping and me not coming out of pocket accidentally for bigger shipping charges that I didn't see coming. Number 4 is adding free shipping on heavy items. Yes, I did this too. I think I've sold full dish sets, very, very large bulky items, blankets, all kinds of stuff that I offered free shipping. Then again, inevitably would go to somewhere, as far away as you could possibly get within the United States or even abroad, and I would have free shipping, and I would end up paying the amount of shipping that I basically earned on the item. Sometimes I even lost money simply because the shipping was so heavy and I hadn't thought about what that was going to be like. I actually now don't do free shipping. It is very, very rare that I offer free shipping on any items, mostly because I found that I didn't really like to mess around with it that much. It may be user error, and that's okay as well, but I just found that very rarely could I get it accurate enough where I didn't feel like I was missing out on money, and so it just became easier for me to make sure that I weighed each and every item at the time of listing, and I did it carefully, and that I charged my buyers for the accurate shipping cost. Okay, number 5 big mistake that I made was not having a quality control system in place. So when I talk about quality control in terms of reselling clothing online and stuff. What I'm really talking about is like, you know, the little flaws that you find. Sometimes you find them when you're sourcing, when you're out shopping and you decide not to pick up an item because it has a little stain or a hole. Sometimes you find it when you bring it home and you look over your items. Sometimes when you're taking your photographs, you know, when it's under the light, sometimes when you're actually listing, sometimes when you pull it out of the bag to send it off to somebody, you will suddenly notice a flaw, which is a terrible feeling, FYI. So what I did is put a full quality control process in place for myself so that I had several different points, kind of like I just described right then, where I would stop and I would give my item a good look over, a good evaluation, and I would do it in a strategic way in terms of like, you know, down seams and underarms and along hems and along necklines. There was a process that I could follow basically that would be the same every single time, that would allow me to do the best quality control that I possibly could on each item and try to avoid accidentally selling something or listing something with flaws that I hadn't noticed. In fact, if you're interested in what that looks like for me, I made a video a while ago about that particular quality control strategy. I'll put the link right here and you are very welcome to go and check it out and see if it's something that might work for you too. Okay, number 6 was leaving out fabric content and measurements in my listing. So for a while I did not think that it was necessary to put in fabric content or measurements, and quite honestly some people will still tell you that the measurements are really hit or miss because not all tape measures are exactly the same. Sometimes people measure things differently. You know, you can still get returns even though you have the measurements in saying that the item was not as described because maybe you were half an inch off. Things happen all the time. However, I find that it gives confidence to my buyers in when I include measurements, and I have found quite a few times with returns that it was something that I personally could stand behind and say, I'm sorry that it doesn't fit like a small. However, the measurements were all in the listing and you had that information to evaluate before you purchase, and that has helped me like win cases, if you like. So for me, it's worth it. It's a very, very short-lived part of my listing process. I only do very simple measurements. I do like chest, waist, length, sleeve length if it's a long sleeve, and that's it. If it's pants, it's like waist, inseam and rise. You get the picture. Very, very simple, but I find that it's part of my process that is really useful. And also when I have somebody come and ask me like, what's the waist measurement? I can just say, you know, please see the listing, rather than having to go and dig and get that item out and take those extra measurements for them. So that's one part of it. And then fabric content, again, this is something that I feel like is useful where someone comes back and says, I didn't realize it was a, you know, I don't know, a stretchy or whatever, and I can go back and I can say, well, there's Lycra in it. You could see the fabric content, and therefore it gives me something to stand behind a little bit when it comes to return cases. I did used to just write in the fabric content. I now also put a photo of the fabric content label in my listing, as well as like the size and things like that. I always do the size and the brand label as well, because again, some people are visual buyers. They really don't read the information, the content of the listing very much, and so I find that kind of like hits both types of shoppers, and it gives everybody as much information as I could possibly give them before they buy. All right, and number 7, my last like reseller mistake. One of my main ones that I used to make was I didn't have a specific business account. So for the longest time I was keeping all of my receipts. I still keep them anyway, but I was really relying on them. I'm relying on doing Excel spreadsheets, trying to track everything. I was trying to track miles and do this and that. And now what I do is I have one singular business account. I have it with a credit union near where I live, and every single incoming and outgoing goes through that business account. So when I get paid from one of my platforms and I deposit my money, it deposits into that bank account. And from there, I'll deposit it into like my family's joint account or wherever it is that it needs to go. But that is its first protocol, so I can track that incoming. If I have any kind of outgoings, whether it is a purchase at a thrift store, a purchase on Amazon for, I don't know, shipping labels, or even if I'm withdrawing money to go to a rummage sale or a yard sale where it's cash in hand, I'm doing it all from that one business account. So I can see, you know, oh, $60 out of an ATM. Well, I know that that is inventory, so I can track that a lot easier. It's easy for me, it's easy for my CPA, and it's just something that I could not suggest more highly if you haven't done it yet, just to help keep all of your T's crossed and your I's dotted and all that good stuff when it comes to taxes at the end of the fiscal year. All right, you guys, that's it. That's my 7. They are my main mistakes that I have made over the 4 years of reselling. There are many more, don't worry. So I may come back with another video and share 7 more. I'm not sure. I'll think on that for you guys. But I also want to invite you to let me know, what are your mistakes? Like, pop them down below, because this is the point where we get to learn from each other. I hope that my tips help someone someone out there, but I also hope that someone will share something with me that might spark a light bulb, and I will find a way to better run my business simply because I've learned from you guys out there. All right, you guys, if you enjoyed this video, please do give it a thumbs up. And if you're new here and you like this kind of reseller content, please do think about hitting the subscribe button down below and come visit again, and I'll catch y'all in the next video. Bye, you guys.